Hello. Welcome to Roundtable number 28 of Dualistic Unity. I am having fun. At least that's sometimes what I tell myself when I feel like I'm not. But like if I could laugh at it and realize, oh fuck, when I feel like I'm not, I'm just taking myself seriously and my perception of what the fuck I think fun should be. It's like it's at least kind of funny sometimes how much I think it's not fun. It's like what exactly isn't fun? My response to reality? Like what's happening outside of my perception? It's just shit happening. So
And shit does continue to happen, which is a great way to start this episode because I know this particular roundtable, we really started going into the experience of the shit. And you can take that in a number of different ways, as I'm sure you will discover as the episode gets going. But I just wanted to say, I'm surrounded by inspiring people all the time. Our Patreon groups, our Discord discussions, Andrew, Amanda, Jackie, everybody involved with Dualistic Unity, the people who comment on our Instagram and our TikTok accounts, the people who are currently participating in our video contest. Inspiring, brilliant, insightful, empathetic, courageous. I could never have imagined that my life would be so full of such incredible people when for so long it felt like I was the only one that was talking about any of this shit. And now every day I'm learning from all of these people talking about it. It's very exciting. I'm very grateful.
likewise, man. And with all of that said, I hope you enjoy this shitty episode of Dualistic Unity.
And here we are for another episode of the Dualistic Unity Roundtable. We were just talking about body odor before the episode, but I figure why start there? But on the other hand, I guess I just did. So this roundtable is full of motherfucking great people. I'm stoked to see so many of our Patreon members joining us today. We are going to I don't even know what we're going to do. We're going to just sit here and hang out together and spend time because that's what we do. We're spending time with ourselves anyway, so we might as well do it here and be the expression that we are. And so thank you for joining us. If you are watching us in the live stream, if you're listening to this after the fact, thank you for joining us as well. And we hope that you'll join us for one of these roundtables yourself. Get on the screen, join the discussion, help mold the episode for everybody else that's listening. Because whether or not you think you're adding anything of value, you don't know. You really don't. It's so interesting how you can be going through the shit, beating yourself up, thinking that nothing you say has any impact on anyone. And somebody listening to you is going to go, oh my God, I go through that. And immediately feel less alone. And yet you would say that you have no value out of assumption. That's part of the mentality that you're in. Right? Of course you don't think you have value. You're kicking the shit out of yourself. Can't feel like you have no value. You can't feel like you have value if you're still beating yourself up, right? So once you relax, then you start to recognize that it's all just assumption. You don't know. And if you don't know, then it's really just down to what you do. Do it. Just do what you're doing. Stop thinking about yourself. And whatever you do, you'll get better at doing as long as you just keep doing it. You'll learn more about it. Your awareness will expand. You'll learn more about yourself doing it as well through the challenge. But thinking about yourself, that just keeps you in the past. It keeps you on the idea of who you are. That's never who you are. So everybody has been having a great time in the video section, kicking the shit out of themselves. And so I'm going to pass this over to Andrew before we get started. But yeah, roundtable number 28, I believe.
Oh no, you passed me and I don't know what to say. Done that so many times. It's actually awesome to be able to have that happen and then not fucking panic and go crazy. Because I had a number of thoughts come up as you were talking, not the least of which being about body odor and how funny it is with something like smells, or how we prior or have a preference for certain smells, and like we don't even think of where that comes from, like historically as a species, humans with evolution. Like there's certain things that we prefer and certain things that we don't. But part of that could be with smells, especially like poop, not liking that smell. Like it's just a smell, but like where does the smell and the thoughts about the smell and everything come from? Like, why is there an aversion to it? I don't know. Could it be that we knew that if we ate it, we could die? Is it a toxicity thing? Is there a detriment to society if people are shitting in the streets left and right? And so there's the smell. The smells are almost a safety mechanism. You know, how many things we just like assume, oh, I don't like that. Because like if you hear someone fart, even if you don't smell it, it's like, that's yuck, or you're embarrassed. I remember I was like freshman in high school and someone ripped ass, but like no one knew who it was and it smelled so bad. And then I accidentally farted like 5 or 10 minutes later, and it was just like a tiny little bit. And immediately everyone was like, "It was you before," and I was like, "No, it wasn't." But like it was me this time, and that one doesn't even smell that bad. But then it was like, of course, oh, it was him. So it's funny, and then how much tension that we have from that, and even just like the tension in our bowels, for example. And I'm just like random shit popping up. We're gonna keep running with this until someone raises their hand. But like with bowels, even like there's a lot of tension to avoid pissing your pants at all times or shitting your pants. And fuck man, like I shit my pants in first grade too. And we're gonna save that one for later because Jackie's got a hand up. What's up, Jackie?
I just want to say that pretty much everybody has a shit in their pants story. So we can share that story amongst the group later on Patreon. Jackie.
Yeah, I figured I would hop in and spare more shit talk from Andrew. But yeah, just on the topic of shitting in general. I guess I'm continuing the shit talk. I actually made a TikTok about this because it clicked for me one day that going through like emotional shit is sort of the same as the process of taking a shit. Like it comes on and it's uncomfortable, but like you can't deny that it's there. And like and if you like freak out in response to it, it lasts longer because like the tension makes it harder for you to relax and you need to relax in order to release, right? So it's the same thing when we are dealing with like some sort of strong emotion. The more that we don't face it, the more that we like have shame around it. So we're not letting it be expressed. The longer it sticks around, the more uncomfortable we are. And so always in sort of a counterintuitive way, relaxing is the way to deal with all types of shit in your life, be it be it the physical kind or the emotional kind, the mental kind. Like relaxing is the way to let your shit pass. So we'll start off there. But I'm excited to be here with you guys. And yeah, let's get this party started. Woo woo.
All right, let's continue from there because it's funny how we're always talking about dealing with the shit, but we never recognize that we contributed to that shit and how hard it is to pass through, as it were. Because I mean, this is why, and Andrew and I were talking about this previously, it's recommended that you chew 30 to 35 times every bite. How often do you do that? None of us ever really do that. We just shovel that shit down our gullet, right? It's just like there's solid chunks of fucking whatever we're eating going down into our digestive system. And that's making it real hard when it's coming out the other end later. And so how much of the shit that we go through in our own life is just a ripple of us not paying attention earlier, us not putting in that responsibility, that patience earlier. And so now we got to deal with the shit that comes later. And we're bitching about it. Like, why is it so hard? Well, you got to relax now, but you should have relaxed earlier. And that would have completed the cycle. And I know Andrew's got somewhere to go with this after. Andrew.
And on top of that, so then you have, the difference in the feeling of the shit coming out of you, right? And oftentimes, the harder it is, the cleaner the wipe. The easier it is to go through, the more of a mess that you have to then clean up. And then you're spending all your time cleaning. But like you go through a real tough one, you're like, this fucking hurts. And especially when it's like, it takes a while, a lot of pushing. But then it's like, oh, no wipe. there it is. The harder it is to go through, the cleaner the after mess. So fuck, man, there's so much symbolism in the process of digestion, taking a shit, to dealing with it, and you're just going through. There's no way to, it's not like you take your last shit and then I'm done shitting. It's like you're always gonna be contributing to the shitting, having to clean the shitting. If you don't clean the shitting, there's other things that you're going to deal with, and then there's going to be more shit eventually. And if you don't keep eating and sustaining, you're going to not live very long. So it's like a necessary process. And we judge ourselves for going through shit, but like we shit every day, sometimes a bunch of times a day, and don't think like I'm doing something wrong when I'm shitting. But there's ways then, as you said, to have influence over at least the process of it and how difficult it is to go through.
Including how much shit is created at the end of the day, because how much shit you end up with is basically based on how much your body doesn't take in. Right? So if you're eating better things, or if you're having experiences that aren't so egotistical, then you are getting more out of them, as it were. You're getting more out of the meal, which means there's less shit to deal with later. We have to entitle this episode Going Through Shit. Jay, good to see you, man.
Roughage helps. There's a reason why we need to have something a little bit tough for our body to digest, because that kind of helps keep everything nice and clean and flowing and stuff. So it also relates because we need a little roughage in our lives. We need a little pushback sometimes, or else things get a little bit too easy, and then we kind of fall back and everything. So holy shit, the shit just kind of keeps piling up, doesn't it? I love the subject. And it's funny because I was just talking about that yesterday, something about shit related, because, when you look at other people, a lot of people like tie it into, like how other people view me. Cause like, I did this really cool workshop with Life Unpotted last night, and recalibrate together. It was really, really fun. And one of the things that a lot of people struggle with is what people think about them. A lot of times that's kind of the shit that we carry into life, like that. That I wonder how this is coming off, kind of thing. We're all just kind of concerned about what people think about us. And the way I kind of view it is like, it doesn't matter if it's a president or a diplomat or some pop star, or it could be anybody, but they all wipe their ass. And that's really what it comes down to. Like, we're all the same. Nobody is really any different than anybody. So it's funny how the shit references really do match up with life pretty well. But yeah. So that's what I got for now. Holy shit. Good to be here.
Great to have you, man. Yeah, just shifting assumptions based on, I don't know, me feeling like I can know something about someone or something. It's the only difference. It's just my assumptions. Like, the differences between people are just my assumptions. Like, there's no guarantee that anyone else even holds on to that shit. Jazz?
This is quite interesting. I feel like I've walked into a shit layer. There's shit everywhere. Yeah, it feels a lot like walking on the shit when you're just trying to be around people and just trying to be someone for them. And so I was at the workshop last night as well with Jay. It was very interesting because New Year's resolutions in themselves are so interesting, and that's what the workshop was around. Not necessarily New Year's resolutions, but just around reflecting on the past year and set intentions for the next year. And I find that so interesting because through the workshop, I felt so many thoughts come up about how I'm feeling about what I want to say, like the things that I feel like I'm going to start processing now, and how it felt like there were 30 people, like that was my perception, 30 people who were feeling one way, and I'm like, yeah, this is kind of bullshit, guys. And then from certain perspectives. And from other perspectives, it was awesome. You know, it was incredible connecting with the community. But that part of me that was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm following through with all this. He seems like a lot of wanting to get somewhere and trying to get some control. And it was interesting how much fear came up in wanting to express that, and how much identification came with the idea that I could be motivated by something, by some ill intentions. It's so interesting. It's so interesting. This idea that I could be motivated by some ill intention, and so don't express this because you don't know how invested you are. And it's so interesting because I can never know that. I can just continue to just be myself in whatever situation I'm in. And so I can never have that certainty ever. And it's not like expressing myself from some sense of investment is a bad thing either. It's just how much weight am I holding on to? And if the weight that I'm holding on to is that I can't express myself here because I feel like I don't know where the intention is here, then I am just forcing myself into a cylindrical hole, and there's just shit everywhere, like all around. It's just like up, down, left, right. It's just all shit because you're just trying so hard to make sure that there's some sort of certainty here, but there isn't. There's no certainty. And so all you can continue to do is just express yourself and be yourself. And that I was pushing through that fear and just expressing myself, and in a way that felt sensitive and empathetic, and also just like stern as well, which I feel like sometimes I have some trouble doing. But yeah, I also did hold back a little bit. And it's so interesting to see as well how I process that as well, because I've had this idea for so long that I was someone smart, someone intelligent. And so with that idea came the idea that certain people aren't intelligent and that I'm valuing myself based on what I'm saying. And so there's a lot of um, judgment that goes with that, obviously, because then you're always checking yourself. But then also you are not allowing people to have the strength to go through the shit as well, because you think that they can't and you could, like you're the only one who could, or like you're one of the few who could, and that other people can't. And that's, first of all, creating a divide between you and them, but also holding yourself up to a very high standard that you will need to always maintain. So there's no point in going through that shit and putting yourself through that shit at all. And so yeah, it was cool to see, because I think part of the resistance for me last night came from having this idea that if I were to say something that were directly contradicting someone's ideas, especially when they have held an entire reflection workshop around it, around some of those ideas, then I feel like there's some part of me that held back, because it's like, well, I don't want to just completely shit on this person or something. But at the same time, I was feeling like, okay, but like if we're talking about this, let's talk about it, kind of thing. If we're gonna be talking about this and like you want my thoughts, then here are my thoughts. And so that's interesting how this idea that I am someone smart or someone else could not be smart, and holding this idea that because someone said something that I disagree with means that they're not smart and so they're worth less, is what's causing this turmoil for me, because I'm holding on to this idea that intelligence can be judged, and like I can have some certainty over that. So I found that really interesting, because yeah, it's like forcing yourself into a turmoil of shit that you don't need to, and creating resistance through all of that experience. And so I found that very fascinating.
Yeah, it's fun when you're in a spot where like there is open dialogue, especially a place like this, because if you share something that's maybe contradictory, there's then the opportunity to talk about it too, and like process it. And if we are all just, you know, neurons in the same brain, then holding back that doesn't help anyone really. And there's been a number, and Ray is very good at like not making things seem too harsh, but there's been a number of times where, especially like early on in the podcast, where I've said something and he'll be like, another consideration could be blah blah blah, and you know, it's even, and it's not to say that there's a right or a wrong way to bring something across, but there is, if you do want to bring it across and you're afraid, like, I don't know, there's sometimes ways and sometimes there's not. And sometimes it's just like, yeah, this is probably because it literally is directly contradicting whatever someone said. Like, it is going to be maybe a little bit uncomfortable, but their response is entirely on them. And if they don't want to look at it or they want to feel a certain way, then that's on them. But that said, you know, it's easy for me to say here on this call like this, you know, in those situations, it's not easy. Like, it is uncomfortable. It's super normal for it to be uncomfortable. And, you know, you're not doing something wrong by not bringing it up. It's an option. So like, whether you do or you don't have to judge yourself, but it's like the willingness to look at where it's coming from. And maybe sometimes there's situations where you come really close to saying something and you don't. And that's just like, you know, step whatever before you finally do say something. And you're like, oh, that's not so bad. Oh, they actually appreciated it. Because anytime I've ever been, you know, had my head super far up my ass and someone like calls me on it, like, I appreciate that, because you can't see it. You know, when your head's up your ass, you can't see it. Well, what Ray said before, when your head is up your ass, all you see is shit, that sort of thing. So someone saying your head's up your ass, like, oh shit, it is, because I wasn't seeing, couldn't know that beforehand.
Now let me wipe that off and take a look around, you know. But it really comes down to your intention, I think. Why are you contradicting them? Are you contradicting them to be right? Right? Are you doing it, you know, are you going out of your way, you know, to go, nah, you know, or is it more the result of like they're bringing it to you and you're in a position you could either lie or speak the truth? I mean, this is why I've said, you know, a number of my friends know, if they don't want to know what I think, they just don't bring shit up with me, because I'm going to say what I think. Right. And they just have that. They're like, yeah, I don't need to know what Ray thinks about that, because I probably won't want to hear it, you know, and that's perfect, you know. But as long as they leave me alone, then everything's fine. Like the other day, I went to a church, not deliberately. I was going to listen to my daughter play violin in her violin group, and the performance was in a church. And I walked into the church, and immediately you could tell everybody's like, shh, like there's very much a very serious vibe, very serious judgmental vibe. And okay, like, I respect that that's how you want to be here and whatnot. I'm just going to sit here and groove. And I was, you know, the choir's doing their thing and I'm just grooving in my chair, having a great old time. And you could tell it was upsetting a lot of people, in which case they're welcome to just come and talk to me about that if they'd like to. And I'm happy to talk to them about it, you know. But I don't tell them what to do. I don't ask, you know. And if I was to go and ask them for their opinion, I would accept, no, that's your opinion. I asked, you know, like that kind of thing. If I don't want to know, I don't ask. But I would say it just comes down to your intention. You know, are you doing it to be right, or are you doing it because somebody actually asked you and the alternative is lying, which always sucks. And then if you're doing it because the alternative is lying, then you're going to do it gently. You're going to be like, okay, well, you know, I don't mean any, like, this is just how I see it, you know, as it were. And even that can sometimes ruffle feathers. But again, that person asked, so it's on them.
Yeah, I find it interesting because something I was reflecting as well on was that a lot of times people are trying to run away from thoughts in their head, which can cause conflict when they just end up meeting that thought through me, just like by me questioning something. And so I feel that in moments like these, oftentimes I notice some fear come up around that, around the uncertainty, around the discomfort that will arise, because this is something I was noticing as well when I've been going just exclusively at this point to the men's locker room at the gym. And so there was a lot of discomfort that came up with me for that, starting out. But nowadays I notice that discomfort and I just notice it as just change, because honestly, like so often I'm told that I'm going into the wrong locker room. So it's kind of surprising actually how often it's said to me. And so it's interesting because there's so much discomfort with that, but also it's also just partially just recognition of the fact that there's just change unfolding. It's just people coming to terms with the fact that yeah, men can look like this, and that's totally fine as well. Like there's nothing wrong with that, and that yeah, it's interesting because the discomfort that I was feeling was it just felt like change to me, and so the less I'm holding on to the fear with just change in general, the more it feels to me that I'm allowing that change to happen. And with uncertainty comes change, and the more uncertain you're willing yourself to be, the more change there will also happen with just things that are happening right now. Like there's so much more potential in this moment, the more uncertain you're allowing yourself to be, just because you're allowing more potential to be expressed because you're just not holding on to any one perception as much. And so I find that in those situations, those types of situations, like at the workshop, I find that oftentimes I'm just expressing whatever it seems appropriate at the time. So yeah, it's interesting, that balance of sensitivity and empathy while also just being yourself, because at the beginning of this year, I don't think I would have said like anything the way that I said it last night. I don't think I would have said anything at all, actually. I think also that I would have kind of been like down for it a lot, because I was just wanting to hold on to some idea of where I'm going to be next year. And so, yeah, it was interesting to see how, like, I think a cool reflection that I had from that workshop. And it's interesting because I learned so much from that setting as well, because I wasn't allowing, or I wasn't judging it at all. I was just like being there, just like hearing different perspectives and perceiving different things and just seeing the process unfold. And so that allowed me, I think, to see and reflect based off of the experience that I did have. And so it was cool to see. One reflection that came out was that it feels to me that I am allowing myself to be more myself in situations. And yeah, I'm kind of appreciating that, because oh boy, it was hard. Holy shit. Like I was trying so much to control who stayed and who didn't. And well, really at that point I was just like, everyone stay, please. And it's like, oh, whoa, hold up a minute. Maybe sometimes it's good for people to not stay. And so yeah, it's like it's cool to be able to just, I don't know, hang out, chill out, just say whatever's coming to mind. Sometimes feel the occasional fear and hold back and learn from it.
Amen, brother. Levi.
Yeah, I can for sure relate with the whole expression part, and like because I'm at home for Christmas break, like living with my family and kind of meeting kind of old friends or whatever, and all this stuff. And it's like I feel like I feel like my authentic self, like kind of wanna there's so much to point out, you know, and I'm like, but do you have to do that all the time? It's kind of what's coming to me. Like I feel I am like I feel like I'm a lot, if you know what I mean. Like sometimes afterwards I'm like, holy shit, I'm a bit much now, you know. It's like maybe I don't have to kind of, I don't know, be so direct and all this stuff. But you know, I've lived this whole life, you know, just making sure I'm not too much. And it's like, so it's, I don't know if it's just kind of me getting comfortable, I don't know, expressing myself more authentically, or if it's just that maybe sometimes I don't have to, you know, go all in on whatever is coming to mind. But yeah, I think it's just also balance that we are figuring out, like uh over time. So yeah. Yeah, I guess that's it.
I love this because we have such a hesitation to just express ourselves, be ourselves. We're like, oh, maybe I'm a bit much. But there are people out there with no hesitation whatsoever of just fucking hammering you with their ego. Like, they will talk to you about the fucking dumbest shit, and they'll do so with so much confidence. Like, you are absolutely interested in my boat. You are absolutely interested in what I bought last week. You are absolutely interested in my ambitions. You are absolutely interested in how I look at my kids and what I want them to do with their lives. And you're absolutely interested in everything that I fucking believe. And you're just like, holy fuck. Have you thought about existence recently? Oh, where'd you go? So, I mean, what is the problem with that? And I say this after a lifetime of being a lot. Quite a few of the people in this group have actually met me in person, and I'm a lot. When you meet me in person, I'm a lot. I express myself very freely. I use my hands, my face wears everything that I'm feeling on it all the fucking time. And I love to just talk. And fuck, why not? I mean, here's an option for people who don't like that. Fuck off. You know, and that's the option. And it's not because I can say that very clearly simply because there's no malice in it. There's sensitivity to it. Like, I'm not going to walk into a room where somebody I know has just gone through a loss. Let's just say, you know, my buddy Tim just lost his wife. I'm not going to go like, hey, Tim, how's it going, buddy? I'm feeling fucking great. How's your day? Like, I'm going to have some sensitivity. It's going to change with each and every situation. So why do we doubt ourselves in terms of our sensitivity when we are just being ourselves? Right? Like, what's the problem as long as there's no malice? And that's the point, because I mean, there's so much less of an intention to try to fucking just bulldoze somebody into conversation when you yourself aren't operating out of need. Like, you're just enthusiastic. You just want to talk about things. You know, you're just excited to be there. What is the problem with that? It's just that everybody else isn't. So they tend to take it as just like, whoa, the fuck's with you? And my question is, the fuck's with you? Why are you so serious? Like, why am I the problem? Right? Because I'm having a great time. And so I think it's just important to keep that in mind, that a large part of holding yourself back like that and wondering like, yeah, I'm being a lot, you know, is not just the fact that you weren't doing it previously or not doing it as much previously, but the fact that everybody around you isn't doing it. You know, everybody around you is holding on to some degree of tension. You know, it's just, and again, I've said this before, when you become an entrepreneur, when you start your own business, it's incredible whether or not, like, it just the amount of people who crawl out of the fucking woodwork to tell you it's not possible. It's like, oh, you can't do that. It's like, well, why can't I live happily like this? Why can't I live with enthusiasm? Why can't I just choose to be free rather than needing a reason to prop up my value? Why? Because it makes you uncomfortable. So again, like, don't rub it in people's face or anything like that, but just have a good time. Fuck that. You know, and then if they're curious, like, why are you so goddamn happy? That's a conversation. But if they're like, why are you so goddamn happy? Just laugh at that shit. That's funny.
Yeah, it's interesting when you are being more yourself. Like, there is almost the immediate thought of like, even the concern for yourself might being too much, because it's been something that we are taught to subdue. Like, we are straight up taught and pushed through a system that tells us, no, don't be yourself. Do this. This is the right way. Over here doesn't match up with you being yourself, because that's entirely unique to you. There's no possible way to look somewhere else to figure out the right way to be you. Like, that is impossible. And that's why part of it's uncomfortable, because like, we're used to looking around for the right thing to do. And it's like, you can't. It's like it kind of goes hand in hand. Like, asking someone how to be yourself is an oxymoron. Basically, like, no one could possibly tell you how to be. You can just be it. But there is that aversion to someone who, and like, even the thought of like, oh, you're being a lot right now. It's like, does it benefit you for me to be less? Does it benefit you for me to not be so much? Or are you just uncomfortable seeing someone else being themselves because you have convinced yourself that you can't, and you want to think that you're right and you're doing the right thing? And usually that's the case, and that's what they're left with. So the alternative is just judging you or making fun of you or saying you're doing something wrong, because they just don't want to look at themselves. If not Levi, Marie.
Good to see you. Glad you could join us again.
Hey everyone. Yeah. Love being here. What a cool conversation. So many thoughts. Where to begin? It's doesn't matter. It's funny how the thought, like, I really loved, Ray, how you started, I think, the live before this. I'll be honest, the raw, the live, I don't know.
I feel the same way.
But I tune in when I can, and I fucking love it. But you started off, I believe, saying, like, I'm so fucking hard on myself, which is funny because you didn't even, it was like myself, meaning like all of you, me, like, it's funny how often we get caught in the loop of doing that, of being so judgmental, because then I was starting to do it here, like, I don't know what to say. Wow, great. You're not going to add anything, Marie. Great job. And then like, and then just like the funny loops that come up and pop up, and the option to relax into them, I'm realizing is always there now. That there's no need to get caught up in like, I like to juggle. I only can juggle right now 3 balls, but it's been fun to do them because it reminds me of, like, you know, juggling all the different thoughts and like dropping them when unnecessary things, or like finding the flow of that is really just reminds me of finding the flow in like every situation. Like I really try to tap into like what's here right now, and then shifting where I need to and adjusting and just kind of finding the groove by letting go. And so it's like tapping into that relaxation, releasing that tension. I love that this conversation is, I'm going to bring it on back. That conversation started with shitting. Fantastic, because people are so uncomfortable with poop, which is so ridiculous because everybody poops. And we have a book in my pre-K class where it's everybody poops, because it's just like, let's just throw it out there. We all fucking shit. It's okay, right? Like there's no need to make it such a big thing. And so it's funny because it is a lot about, you know, recognizing when the tension is there and releasing it when you can. And like the tension will come and you'll go, oh, I'm tense. What's that about? And then you can relax into that tension, and then I always like move my body like that because it just feels like that constant flow, that river. Like there's so many references that have been made in this conversation throughout this podcast, so if you haven't checked it out. No, I'm kidding. I feel like I listen to y'all do that so much. It's fun. Anyway.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that you just took the role of host for a moment. You're like, by the way, shameless plug. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, always greatly appreciated. But it is interesting with the finding the flow. I find that with myself in conversations sometimes. Like I have an aversion to like small talk or just asking basic ass stuff. And then when I let go of like there being a right way, or like, oh, I gotta bring something else up, there's like a sort of natural flow through that. Like sometimes that's just what you go through, and then there's something in 10 minutes, or all of a sudden you're talking about something you couldn't possibly consider, but it started out with something, and it was just me letting go of the idea that there was a right way to, you know, have the conversation or right thing to do. It's like something came to mind, I consider it small talk, whatever, fucking do that for a bit and see where it goes, see maybe something hits. But especially even with like a new person, it's like, no shit, there's going to be some small talk beforehand, but like I'll judge myself for doing that. It's like, no, just fucking do it. Like, why do you think that's wrong? They're probably going to do it if you don't do it first. Like, oh, and just it's like, oh, it can be fucking constant, like everything. It's like this morning, I straight up was like, I couldn't do a single thing without me assuming I was doing something wrong. Like it's like, that's wrong. That's wrong. Well, maybe not all the things that I do are wrong, but yeah, the potential's there no matter what. Even if you make up a plan and do everything according to plan, it's like, why do you got a plan and then stick to a plan so hard? Like, that's not the right thing to do. And it's like, it's always there. But for everyone.
Yeah, and I feel like the potential is always there, and I feel like I've been recognizing, I guess, that potential more, and I feel like I've been having more. I hate to even say that, but I've been feeling that tension, or tension's popping up for me, and I'm often like tapping into like, okay, it's okay, like breathe, relax, you're okay. Like, there's a so I was on the subway the other day. I was going to okay, yeah, my parents' place was a family get together type thing. And, I have like my gift bags and shit, and I'm sitting on the train, my in a jacket. I'm like squished between two people, and people are coming on and off. This train's going slow as shit. I kind of feel nauseous, and I'm kind of feeling like tense. And in those moments, like years ago, I probably would have gotten off the train and like had to have like needed to reset because of the buildup for it. It was like there's this layer and then there's this layer, and like and I guess feeling all of it, but not even just feeling it, but because I was feeling it there, I'm not gonna feel like I wasn't feeling the shit. The shit was there, but I wasn't I was like okay with all of it, kind of thing. Like, if I were to throw up, pass out, fine, then it'll happen. You'll live, you'll be okay. And even if you don't live, you don't even know what living means. You'll probably still live in some capacity because life is eternal. You're just living constantly. So even if that changes, so it's like constantly reminding myself, you're going to be okay regardless of what happens. Because I used to have this fear of like, if this happens, what? And like, but like, I didn't like the what. It was like, because it is, and not that this is so foreign, obviously, because this is the whole thing. So it's just, it's been fun to recognize that relaxation is always there. Whether even when like you're feeling the shit, you're recognizing the shit because the shit isn't you. Yeah.
Well said. Absolutely. I'm going to pass it along to Demir. Demir, nice of you to join us. This is your first time here on one of the roundtables. Thank you.
You're very welcome. What's up, guys? Oh man, I'm so excited to be on here. And I just wanted to discuss about what happened earlier with me today. I was so caught up in trying to have a plan. I'm like about to get evicted here soon. Not evicted, but I'll be moving from my sister's apartment on the 3rd of February, and I'm like feeling like I need some control in my life. I'm like, Demir, I put up with this suffering for long enough, and I'm feeling like I need something to do. Like I should be doing something. And it's like, Demir, this entire time you've been doing everything. You've been being yourself. You just need to be more of that, and you'll be fine. And life will carry. And but it was just me being caught up with this plan. Like I have to figure out a business name, and I have to figure out how the business is gonna look, and all this shit. And it's like, dude, you can just relax, because the alternative is it can come to me naturally, and I can just be happy with that, or just be here now and fucking figure out what happens. But yeah, I've been just really trying to be here now and have fun, which I've been doing. I've been having a lot of fucking fun lately, and I don't, I don't know. That's what it is. I don't know. the uncertainty is real. The shit most definitely is real. And the thing is, we're all afraid of it. It's like, why are we afraid? Even people, one thing, guys, like, why do people walk with their, why are you walking with your head down? Life is here, it's right here. And I just hate seeing people walk with their head down because, and I know why they're walking with their head down, low self-esteem and all that, but it's like, dude, it's right here. And I know that. So why aren't I being that? And I can always like lift myself back up. Like it's like I just don't know. It's just the uncertainty. I don't know what I should be doing right now. And I'm trying to figure out and come up with this plan on how to get out of what I'm in. And it's like, dude, you're fine. You're fine. You're okay exactly where you are. And just you'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. This entire time I've been doing that. Just that, figuring it out. And sometimes I feel like I have to get an insider course, and it's not. It's just me here now with myself, and I love myself. This is why I just try to. That's the thing. I don't try to do anything. Maybe I try too hard. That's what it is. I try too hard, and it's no trying to me. There's no trying. That's only doing. And in that doing, you'll find. And it's just that right there, man. And I know the thing is, we all know, we're all aware of what we should be doing. It's like, why aren't we? Why aren't we living for us? And that's what I want to do. I want to get that across because I experience and go through that every single day. And I just want the world to be happy because I am happy. And I'm not sure if I can have that or make everyone happy, but I mean, it is what it is. Usually when I step in the room, the spirits, they lift. So, I mean, I am doing the work. I'm doing the work. So I don't know. It's just I don't know what I should be doing. And I'm trying to figure out what and I don't know that. I don't know what it is, but I'll figure it out. It's just that right there. Figure it out. And I don't know what I should be doing yet. Now ready to pass it on to you guys there what you have.
It is always good to have you here, Demir. I appreciate you being here. And I guess my only advice would be try to keep it applicable. It really is what you can do today. And this is something I've seen so many times in terms of coaching people starting their own businesses. Who gives a fuck what you call your business at the end of the day? And the reason I say that is because you can start a business and then change its name. Like businesses evolve, businesses change over time. It's not important that it's the right name or that it's the right website or say, just do it. Just whatever it is, just start doing the work. The rest will start to come together on its own. I mean, I had a web design business for a year and a half without having a website myself. Try figuring that out, right? And it's just because again, it's like, well, here's some of the work I've done. So why don't you have websites? Because I'm so fucking busy helping people like you. Right. So it really just comes down to do the work, jump in. And even if it's not the work, if it's not a job or a business or anything like that, whatever gets you in that direction. If it's learning a new skill, then take the time to do that. Don't worry about how much or how quickly you're going to learn it, right? Or how fast somebody else might learn it or any of that other shit. Just put in the time. And this is something that's easier to say being 44, frankly, but when you're younger, it feels like, fuck, I got to decide where I'm going right now. I got to figure all this shit out. It's like, no, man, just keep going. Just keep going and stop putting all the pressure on yourself to have all the answers right fucking now. Just do what's in front of you and the rest will unfold. It really will, because you have the intelligence to make this work. I mean, that's why you're trying to plan for everything in fucking advance, right? But you can't, because everything's going to shift under your feet. So if you're going to be trying to plan for everything in advance, it's an ongoing process that's never going to end, right? Because everything's always changing. So just focus on what you can do today. And even if that's just taking some time for yourself so you can de-stress, right? And then come back to the problem with fresh eyes the next day, do that, right? But it really just comes down to focusing on what you can do now. And if you can't do anything now, take it easy on yourself. Don't beat yourself up, because 6 months down the road, you're going to look back and go, I don't know how the fucking got through that, but I did, because you always have.
Jackie
Oh, my bad. Oh,
or Jameer, if you want to follow up.
no, you guys are good. I'm done for the day.
Appreciate it, Namir. Jackie, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Oh, and a quick announcement while Jackie is here, that of course you can catch Jackie and Amanda's new series, Dualistic Unity Real, every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern time on our YouTube channel, YouTube Live, or twitch.tv/Dualistic Unity. Likewise, they have a number of episodes that are coming out in season 6. Episode 2 of season 6 just came out last week. Episode 4 is going to be coming out later this week, so keep an eye out for those. I'm going to stop doing the announcements now in the announcement voice and pass it to Jackie.
Yeah, don't forget to check out DU Real every Friday, 3 p.m. Wait, is it 4 p.m. Eastern time? I think, I don't know. I'm not as
3 p.m.
polished.
Central
I'm not
Time.
3 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then if it's any other time zone, you got to figure that one out, buddy. But I know I never announce these things. So thanks for the reminder, Ray. And check out the first couple episodes of season 6. They were fun to listen back to again. But I feel you, Demir. Like, I know that feeling. I'm broke as a fucking joke right now. And there is a little fire under my ass where it's like, okay, well, we gotta get moving. Like, we wanna keep being able to pay our rent. Okay. So like we gotta get something going. And so I'm at the point where I feel this sense of urgency, but at the same time, I know that there's a balance of what I can do versus what I can't do, of energy in versus just surrender. And I know that I can only do as much as I can do in any given day. And because I know I can't have control, like I don't need to be so rigid and hard on myself about how any of this shit unfolds. And like there's a lot of things that I'm like working on and dreaming about, and like I'm thinking of starting my own business for like yoga and shit now, and there's like a mountain of uncertainty in front of me, but like Ray said, it's just what can I do today while still enjoying my life, right? And it's about what your priorities are. And I found that the less that I'm worrying about what's going to happen, the more time I have to actually do things that are moving me in that direction, whether that be like practicing my sequencing or doing yoga, which is, that's the most important part for my business, is my own practice. But there can be a temptation to like put that out on the side to focus on like the way it looks on the outside. But yeah, as long as I think the most important part is operating from a place of authenticity and like genuinely wanting to connect with people or share something, not for any egotistical reason or like to make money by sharing it, just because it's what you feel passionate about, it's what you feel called to do, and that will be a natural expression of you, and you can't really control how any of that shit unfolds. So yeah, but I feel you. The urgency definitely is there. And something I'm constantly reminding myself is that I overestimate what I can do in a day, but I always underestimate what I can do in a month or a year, right? Like if I just do one little thing every day and be consistent with it and just trust the process, like stuff will come together relatively before you know it. And that doesn't require all the extra pressure that we put on ourselves. So, like you were saying, it's really just about relaxing. And I can tell like you see that because I can hear it in your voice, just the awe and the like surrender of just being like, oh my God, like I know I'm okay. And yet we have to participate in the world. So it can be tricky navigating that gray area of how much can I really do and how much am I trying to control this situation to be something other than it's not, versus like how much am I working with reality as it is. So that's something that I feel like is a lifelong process of learning and gaining sensitivity. And for me personally, just I don't know, I'm early in on this journey of like seeing any of this stuff, it feels like. And so things to me feel very tumultuous, like the swings back and forth. They're a little bit jarring, I guess. Like it still kind of sometimes feels like a wild roller coaster ride, but it's okay because I know that I'm fine no matter where in that spectrum I am. Like if even if I'm losing my shit and I'm like having a lot of emotions and like I'm freaking out, like there can be a relaxation underneath that freaking out. That just that understanding that I'm going to be okay, this will pass. I'm held, like no matter how much it feels like I'm going to go flying off the roller coaster, I'm strapped in. So we're going to make it to the end. And so I can relax through any sort of moment like that, any sort of moment of tension. I can like take a deep breath and be like, oh, okay. And sit back into myself, like sort of in any moment. And this kind of reminds me of what Jazz was talking about, like with the workshop and being conflicted about whether I want, like, whether to contradict somebody or like say something. Um, because I was there too. And there were certain things that I was also like, I don't really want to think about who I'm going to be on January 1st, 2025, right? Like that doesn't really resonate with me because I know I can't know that. But there were other questions that were like, like what is like a word that's resonating with you, or like what is like an attitude that you want to experience, or like what's something that you want to carry with you in every moment of the next year or something like that. And so for me, I just, you can take what resonates and leave what doesn't. And to me, that's the most freeing thing of all, of being like, okay, I don't need to tell this person they're wrong. I can just know that what they're saying isn't resonating for me, and then I can say something about it, but I don't have to, and I can just express myself fully at the same time, like not worrying about how they're going to take it necessarily, but also not feeling like any one of us is right. And cuz I think if we go into the world thinking we need to call out like everyone else's bullshit, like that's just kind of exhausting. There's a lot of people saying a lot of crazy things out there. And so the best way I feel like to combat that is to just speak from your own place, to be what it is. And there can be this general sense of relaxation in every moment. Like you can do something, but you don't have to. And it's like you said, a balance of these forces of, okay, I'm part of this, but also it's not my full responsibility.
Well said. You cut for me for a sec there. I was like, I think she might have stopped talking, but I'm not going to start talking unless she's. But
Did I cut out?
Just for me, it could just be me. But well fucking said, Jackie. Holy fucking shit. That was beautiful. I think we could definitely get a clip from that. That can go on your social media, because that was awesome. And it's freeing, that last part you said with resonating, and like you can take what you take and leave the rest. And it's really freeing to realize that that's everyone's opportunity. Like as I'm talking too, it's like I don't have to say everything to think that everyone's going to resonate with everything I say. Maybe someone takes away one tiny little word and I have no idea which word that is, so I can just talk when I feel like saying something, and if not, then don't. But we can put a lot of weight on ourselves to think that like everything we say has to be resonatable, if that's a word. It can just be talking. And like I don't know anyone else's experience, so how they hear it and what they get from it or whatever, or whether even anyone's listening to me right now, like I don't know that. And that's kind of cool. I was like remembering that. Like, there's no guarantee that anyone is actually hearing what I'm saying. Never. They could just be caught in their head the whole time. And then I stop talking and they just don't say anything. And then we carry on until something else is said. That is just as much in potential as everyone hearing you exactly how you think they're hearing you, which is probably the least likely thing.
Yeah. We operate in like this bubble of uncertainty that is our own subjectivity, right? Like we're alone in whatever this experience is. And so because that exists, like, why would I get overly worked up about any situation trying to control it? Like, I can't. And I know that. And that doesn't mean I shouldn't do anything, but it's like I have a humility about everything that I do because I know like that no outcome is guaranteed, no perception is guaranteed. And so I can just do as much as I feel like to the best of my ability. But at the same time, there's so much ease that comes with just admitting the fact that there's no control and there's no certainty. And it's funny because that's like what we cling on to so hard, thinking that's what's going to make everything better. And it turns out that it's actually the opposite. Like letting go of everything that makes us feel better eventually like makes life a lot easier to go through, just because it doesn't need to be so serious or intense. And last thing I want to say before I pass it on is that it's Amanda's birthday tomorrow, and I'm very excited about it because we love Amanda and she's an amazing co-host, and I feel grateful that she exists every day. So just want to say that.
Happy early fucking birthday, Amanda. Jay,
Thank you, everyone.
we love you.
Happy birthday, Amanda. I am loving this conversation. It's funny, it's kind of all tying together with my new job. I'm in sales now, so a lot of that is, as Jazz had brought up before about the intention setting and stuff like that. So I'm really toying with the back and forth and understanding that that's kind of a necessary part of the job, but it's nothing that I've got to take seriously at all. It's just part of it. And that's a lot of things in life kind of end up that way. Like I'm up here in Massachusetts and the weather is colder than it was in Florida, but I don't have to go around being like, oh, I'm so cold all the time. You know what I mean? And take away from the experience that I'm actually having right now. I can understand that I'm cold. That's fine. And just continue on my day. Like that's something I figured out when I was a little kid, actually, growing up here in Massachusetts. And like I'd be out there in the cold weather and I'd see everybody shivering and I would just kind of stop and I would imagine myself being in a warm place. And I'd be like in this tropical island and I just put myself there and I'm like, you know what? I'm actually warm now. And it was like, holy shit, I don't actually have to like even believe in like that I'm freaking cold, like it's amazing like how much our attention to things really affect our actual reality. And so I really enjoy that. I don't know. I wanted to talk to you guys too about, I've been kind of looking into some somatic respiratory integration. Do you guys know some stuff about that? It's something I've been learning about and getting into the practice of just kind of like getting in touch with my body and doing some different breathing exercises. It's quite involved. It's a little bit on the woo-woo scale for stuff that I'm used to. Okay. But I figured I'd give it a shot and see how it goes. And it's been nice to actually sort of get in touch with my body and my emotions and sort of tie those things together. And so one of the practices that I've really been getting into is understanding the spectrum of things, because in our experience, like we'll experience some real dark like lonely, anxious time, like all the stuff that, you know, we would rather not feel. And then on the other end of the side, we've got all the blissful states and all the ecstatic, good feeling, love, and all that stuff, and understanding and peace. And everything in between is all us. Like, and so to understand, like, it seems so like it's gonna last forever when we're in these like stuck states, or we're in this feeling state of just like you know, feeling like shit. It's just like, and then we kind of mentally will tie on to that, and it just kind of continues that feeling. Seems like it's never going to end. And so, what they have you do is get in touch with that and understand it. Like, yeah, it's never going to fucking end. And you fucking own that shit. And by the time you're done, it's like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. It doesn't, because I'm not that. You know what I mean? I know it's going to end. And the same thing with the blissful stuff, like on the other end of the scale. Like it's all great, but it's not the real thing. It's all just kind of transitory. So it's been nice to kind of tie that in with the body, breath, integration. It's been really cool having these experiences with that. I don't know if you guys have done any episodes on that at all, or what, but it's just something I've been checking out. It's neat, you know. But like Jazz was saying before, with intention settings and things like that, we can experience things and not necessarily have to, you know, it's not like, you know, keep our head about it. Like there's just a consideration in everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I honestly don't know if we've done an episode on breathwork. It's a great question. It'd be fun to do. I've done a number of things in terms of breastwork. Yes, breathwork, including qigong and tikpo sam, which was great. So that's more or less just focusing on your body's energy, your chi, as it were, and how it flows through your body according to how you're breathing. And there are different movements and different positions that help open up different vessels and flows, as it were. And so yeah, it's a lot of fun. And of course, it really opens you up to the idea of your awareness of your body. All of a sudden you can feel certain things. You can actually start to tap into what it is you're experiencing. Of course, you can also project, which is the problem. But it's a fantastic experience. And this is something I was talking to Andrew about earlier. It's super valuable, because if you're on the path to letting go of yourself and your assumptions and all that, you're just going to continue to get more and more and more in terms of awareness and considerations and shit to think about. And it can wash you away like a fucking storm in itself. Like, you can get very caught up in it. So it's important to come back to the present and breathing, feeling your body, focusing on your balance. These are all things that do that. It's a valuable practice. So yeah, it would be great to do an episode on that.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny too, because like I go through so just like with a breathwork thing, and the thought of like bringing that up on a call like this, you know, because it's like I almost, especially earlier in the podcast, and still to this day, like have assumptions that there's like right and wrong things to do. And just because someone uses something like, say, meditation, thinking that there's an answer, doesn't mean that in recognizing there are no answers or no right things to do, that you can't meditate. It's like it's another thing you can do, but it's like even playing field to doing anything. And it just comes down to like how I want to spend my time. And like breath work can be incredibly powerful. It's just like so many people think that like there's an answer in that, or it's getting them somewhere, but like doing something without the assumption that it's getting you somewhere is like way more enjoyable. One, because there isn't the pressure of like doing it right or wrong. And it's like so many of these things that have been contorted into the answer, the right way to be, were just things that people who realized, oh, there's nowhere to get, I'm going to do this for a little bit, I'm going to do that for a little bit, and like it all comes back on the table. But there's a part of me that still has like almost sometimes an aversion to meditating. If I'm like, I'm just going to sit here and close my eyes and whoa, I'm feeling a lot. It's like, no, because there was a while that I thought that meditating was like getting me somewhere. So there's like leftover aversion to it. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but sometimes I go through that where I'm like, I shouldn't do this thing because I know that it's not getting me somewhere. It's like, why the fuck are you still holding on to? Because then you're assuming that there's a right way to live. Like, who the fuck is that? That's just putting more pressure on yourself unnecessarily. But anyway, so that was just as you were talking about breath work. I was like, sometimes I feel like I shouldn't do stuff like that. Like, no, that's awesome and super fun to do a lot of times. Like it can be fucking powerful as shit to focus on something like that. So
Yeah, I know it's not like getting me anywhere, but it definitely is enjoyable, and it's really getting me in touch with the body, the body mind combination as well as my environment. And it's not like I get it out of like a work session or something like that. It's like it's not like the point is to get somewhere with it. It's more like to tune into like my walking meditation, which is living my life. You know what I mean? As far as how I am aware of my mind and body as I walk through life, so it just kind of things to keep in the forefront of thought. Basically, it's just not that we need to even think about how we live our life, but sometimes it's easy to get lost in the shit of life and the the all the structure of society and everything, and to thinking that we're what we're not. So that it's been fun. I'll leave it at that. Happy birthday, Amanda.
That's awesome. Appreciate you being here, Jay. As always, Levi, take it away, sir.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Amanda. It's actually your birthday here because it's like over 12 in the night. So yeah. Happy birthday. I've had some fun with breath work. Like I remember like couple of years ago, I was very much doing it for a reason to like heal something or whatever. But I've done it quite a bit also like the last I don't know year or something, and it's been some really interesting, fun experiences coming out of it. So it's like, I mean, why not? But it's like I remember I was doing my yoga teacher training. And we had this pranayama teacher that's like breath work in the yoga framework or whatever. And he was so strict. He was like, okay, if you do it 1 hour a day, you will be like having the greatest life in 6 months. But if you do it 2 hours a day, in 3 months, you'll have the greatest life ever. And this guy was the angriest guy I've ever met in my life. He kept exploding at us. And it's like, yeah. So it's like, there is for sure also a dark side of going to or be too dependent on that kind of stuff. But yeah, also like I'm not sure if you guys have tried like the Wim Hof breathing, but that is crazy to do. Like if you do like that for a couple of minutes and then you do like push-ups. I do twice as many push-ups like after it because basically my body is just full of oxygen. So it's like it's just pumped up, So it's incredible to see what kind of these simple, quick exercises can do to our performance and stuff like that. So yeah. Anyway, it can be fun for sure.
oh yeah, it's cool to like be able to realize, oh, I have this fucking crazy ass tool that has a lot of functionality, and there's ways to maybe do this that then causes something else. And I've always enjoyed sort of like experimenting with, say, like a diet or something with and figuring out. It's like, I'm curious about this. People keep talking about this thing. I'm gonna give it a shot, see how it feels for me, instead of fucking like, looking around or wondering. And it goes for anything, trying anything new. And there's a lot more of an ability to like try those things when you're not taking yourself so seriously. And life can be so much more fun when you're not taking yourself seriously. Like, take yourself seriously just sucks the fun out of fucking everything, possibly, because you're constantly on guard for like how you're doing. Yeah, that's one way to live. Sure. We spent a long time doing that. Not the only way to live, though, because you can't know one way or the other. Chaz?
Happy fucking birthday. Woo! I love it. Levi bringing in the extra time zones helped out. We are now occupying more of time. That's hilarious. Yeah, it's interesting how you were able to get more push-ups out of doing breathwork, Levi. It's interesting how just relaxing into the experience you're having can allow for your body to be able to do different things, because that's what I was noticing as well with running as well. is that the more relaxed I am into the experience that I'm having, the more I'm just like running is just something that's happening, and I don't have to be getting anywhere with it, don't have to be doing anything. It's just what's unfolding right now. And I feel like that's been happening a lot more and more with just everything. It's just not as personal, I feel like, because I feel like a lot of it was so rooted in desire. And I loved, Andrew, what you were saying about how sometimes you could have been like attached to something like meditation, because I resonate with that as well. Like I use meditation and meditated like literally every single day for 2 years. Like I don't think I had done anything that consistently except like brush my teeth maybe and take a shit. Low hanging fruit. But yeah, it was a lot of it was invested in attachment and wanting to feel more relaxed. But I still learned so much from that experience. And honestly, I wouldn't be where I was after that, where if it weren't for the experience that I did go through with meditation. So I still do really enjoy meditating, and also just like other things as well that I derived a lot of self-worth from, like working out and maybe like running at some point as well. Like maybe I totally would have like been thinking about myself, about the pace that I was going, about how much distance I was doing. And it's more and more becoming just impersonal, more and more, and just about the experience that's unfolding, not feeling like I need to do any kind of distance. It's just like how am I gonna do what am I gonna do today? Like I don't even know. Like I'm just gonna run and then we'll see where I end up, and then that'll be that. It's interesting because then you're allowed to experience so much more sensitivity in the moment. Like, let's say that you hurt your ankle, then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, no, let's cut this short or something. Or you are just running a lot and you're just like, I don't know, like running way more than you've ever run before, and you're starting to the fear is starting to set in. It's like, are you sure you're supposed to be running this much? This is kind of a lot. You haven't done even like half of this. And some of that is fair because like there are considerations that come into account when you are running longer distance, like are you hydrated, or I don't know, like all of these things. And so it is cool how just having sensitivity and not attaching to any one perception, but just allowing yourself to process through the perceptions. And I think that's what I am coming back to as well with the conversation around the workshop, which I've been finding very fascinating, by the way. I appreciate all the input. It's a really cool process. Is that I think there's been a part of me that's been unwilling to be processing with people, just like whatever is coming to mind, and just saying whatever is coming to mind and saying that. Rather, I used to hold a lot of things back because I felt scared of how this person might react to what I have to say, how I think. If I am in a room of people and I feel like I'm the only person who has a different thought, then I almost certainly would never express that, and would even like go as far as to say that I would support the other side, like just egg them on, like validate whatever they're thinking, like actually actively validate what they're thinking and feeling, because there was some certainty there into how this would unfold, like what kind of certainty I have in terms of what kind of experience I will have. And so letting go of that more and more has been allowing for experiences like the one last night, I feel like, where it's just more of me just expressing myself and allowing the perceptions to occur without feeling like I need to share anything, or that I'm even correcting anyone, because I don't think I am correct. There's no correct here. There's no objective truth here. It's just perceptions and going through perceptions and just allowing all of those perceptions to come out, and like to see what comes after that as well, because change is happening not just in them, quote unquote, it's happening in me. And so it's just change. And I think with change can come discomfort and the willingness to pull yourself back from it a lot of times, I think, because there's this sense of certainty that you can have about how people will react, but you don't know. You have no idea, because sometimes being yourself, completely being yourself, allows for someone to really like appreciate that, because you never know what people are thinking. And so this idea that you hiding yourself away from being yourself will get people to like you is not going to work out because you have no idea. And at the end of the day, if you're not allowing yourself to be yourself as well, then you're not really being yourself with other people. They're being with a perception of you, with a version of you that you've curated and deemed as worthy in this situation. And then you're going to be thinking about who you can be in other situations. And you're constantly thinking about yourself at that point. At that point in conversations, you're constantly living relative to other people's ideas and what you feel like you need to be and how they value and what they value and how you view yourself and what kind of relationships you want to have. And so at that point, it's becomes so much harder to express yourself because then you're in your head so much of the time that you really can't have sensitivity and empathy to the conversation that's unfolding. And you are so stressed about what is happening. Like you really cannot. It's so interesting because at a younger age, there was a lot of me wanting to just argue just for the sake of arguing. And I would get into like really long arguments on comment section on Facebook. It's kind of funny. Just to feel like I was right and just to feel like I knew stuff. And yeah, that's a never-ending cycle because you're constantly just chasing your own tail, trying to prove something to someone for some sense of certainty, but you don't have any of that. So all you can do is just express yourself and express whatever comes without feeling like you need to hold back, but also not feeling like you need to express something as well. Which is also interesting because I think that's something I'm processing as well right now is that that there can be this need to feel like you say something because if you weren't saying something, then you're not making a ripple, but you're always making a ripple because you're just being yourself is the ripple. Like you are change. Like there's nothing you need to do, nothing anyone needs to be as well. It's just the process unfolding and there's no right or wrong or anywhere you need to be. It's just what is. So I think a lot of it just comes down to having faith in yourself, to just having faith, period, honestly. Just having faith and recognize that change is just what is, and there's no particular direction, any idea that you can have of where change needs to occur or where you need to be. And so I think that also allows for you to have sensitivity in the moment because you could be running today and you could be doing something else tomorrow. You don't have any idea of what you are, who you're going to be. Like you're not going to be running necessarily way longer for way faster 6 months from now. Like you have no idea what you're going to be doing 6 months from now. And you don't have to know what you're going to be doing 6 months from now because that's kind of part of the fun of life is just seeing what happens as it unfolds. But if you're holding on to some certainty of, oh, I'm deriving my self-worth from this, then I feel like you're constantly chasing ideas of yourself in the future. And yeah, I feel like a lot of times then you're measuring how long you're meditating for or how much attention you're paying during meditation rather than just actually just sitting there. It's so funny because I feel like I can meditate, quote unquote, way better now at any point in my life than I could when I was trying to meditate on the couch because I was trying to get somewhere. And now it feels to me like I can follow the breath so much more easily without suffocating myself. Without feeling like I'm either breathing too fast or too slow. It's just what is, it's just happening. And I don't need to get in there and make sure that I'm, I don't know, breathing and relaxing myself. And that after 40 minutes or 50 minutes of this, I'm going to be in a plane of existence where I'm able to just be more relaxed when I'm around people. Because as soon as the people come in, all of that fear comes creeping back in. All of your insecurities come creeping back in. All that relaxation that you were feeling, gone. Absolutely. And so then I feel like you're like, huh, okay, there's a lot more going on here. I can't just breathe for an hour and feel like I will be relaxed the rest of the time. There is a lot more to this. I feel like maybe I can be incorporating this all the time. Like I don't need to be taking my thoughts seriously, period. Not just on the couch, but just all the time. Let's see how that goes. Oh wow, yeah, I can just continue doing this all the time. And it is more relaxing because I don't need to feel like I need to be sitting on the couch every morning, every evening, or every single time someone wants to hang out. I'm like, hold up a minute, go meditate, come back. And you're still checking yourself. It's so funny because even when you're like in front of people or wherever you may feel more uncomfortable, you're still checking yourself. Am I relaxed now? Oh, yeah, maybe I can do some breath work here too. Breathe for 5 minutes. Oh, yeah, that feels good. How about getting better rather than feeling better? Because that's where real change happens when you're not trying to feel better, but just recognizing where all of this is coming from, what the root of all of this is, because as long as you're holding on to your idea of yourself, there will always be something you need to be doing 6 months from now and hoping that you have some idea of what the future holds. And you don't need to. And that's, yeah, like I said, where the fun is.
Amanda. Hello. Thank you for joining us.
Oh man, this is phenomenal. I was taking so long to raise my hand because we had a new person in the group and I wanted to make sure that they could talk. So I was just like, I talk enough. I'm not in a deficit of speaking time. Okay. Like I don't, I can, let's listen a little bit and hang out. But that what was all for moot because they're not here anymore. But 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 we're here and I get it. Probably technical issues is what happened. So I've been there. I totally resonate with that. But oh my God, I just resonate so much with it, what everybody's talking about, because we are constantly measuring ourselves and we measure for intelligence, we measure for value, we measure for happiness, we measure for love, we measure for purpose. We're constantly measuring ourselves and it's and every measurement feels so hard. So it feels like these are hard measurements because when I'm not measuring myself, everything is it's just more fluid because I don't need it to be anything else. I'm not measuring it against a standard that I'm constantly moving. And but it gives me a false sense of control. And so I understand why I tend to want to measure myself because it's a way for me to cope with the uncertainty. But I really liked what Andrew had said during some recent show, and he was saying, be willing to be uncertain, right? Because you don't really know if you're fucking up. You don't really know if you're doing the best job ever. You don't really know if this is going to be something that's a catalyst for change, real or not, or if you're going to be perceiving yourself better in 5 minutes or not. Just be willing to be uncertain that your measurement isn't absolute, whether it says it's good or bad. Just be willing to be uncertain. And 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 I love that you just brought up, Jazz, feeling better versus getting better. And I tend to feel better when I'm not trying to get better, in the same way that like I get better when I don't try to feel better. So it almost feels like either I could approach it from either side, whether when I'm not trying to feel better, things just seem to be getting better. And that's just because I'm not endlessly measuring the moment that I'm in. Is this the right choice? And I'm appreciating more and more that all I can do is happening right now. Like, regardless of my goals, regardless of my perception or perceived obstacles, all I can do is available right now. So what can I do right now? And what I tend to choose right now is just not freaking out that this moment needs to be something else, and just appreciating where I'm at. And so like an example I like to give is like the endless battle that I'm in terms of like cleaning my apartment and dishes and laundry. And it's a battle that we've waged for ages, right? And I will clean and I will love my clean apartment, and then I will miss the mess. I will straight up miss the mess. I will miss the chaos of piles of papers and like sticky notes because, you know, I have my mad scientist moments and we're like up in the middle of the night and we're like, had a brilliant idea. And then we research it for 2 hours. And then it's like, you know what, but I want to see it. And so we grab a poster board and then we're putting sticky notes on the poster board. And it's like, and I miss like living in my chaos because it's just another part of my experience. And I love when things are orderly and I love when things are chaotic because those are two experiences that I can appreciate because in the chaos, an idea can come to me that I may not have gotten to in such a linear fashion. And I love that we talked about like, you know, the book, or I love that you brought up, Marie, like, you know, one of the books, it, you know, we all poop. And it seems like that's so obvious. Like there should be a book that says we all hurt. Like we all hurt. Like we all hurt, we all go through things, and yet it's so easy to forget that other people suffer, that other people go through pain when you're so zoomed in on your pain. And it's like, of course I can't see the gash in my leg because I'm so zoomed in on the gash on my arm. And I forget that other parts of the same body are hurting. And it's not to say that one wound is greater than the other, but you do have a sensitivity, you do prioritize. Okay, maybe we staple up the stomach before we address the paper cup. You know, and it's not to say that, you know, one choice has to be, you have to be so certain about it. But, and I really resonated, Demir, when you were talking about like moving, because it's like, I never thought that I would be in this apartment that I'm in right now a year ago. And that's going to be a year, I'll be a year to the date in January. And I never would have thought that I would have moved because I was living with family. And I straight up thought that I was going to be with them until I bought my house. So the fact that I'm living on my own without them is like totally not according to my 5-year plan. But it was just that I had a choice to make. You know, I can stay here, and we can have this experience. And at that point, for myself, I decided no. I don't want to be in this experience anymore. And I have the ability and the potential to change it. And so I had applied and gotten approved for another apartment within 5 days of making the decision, because there are, just like there are jobs everywhere, there are apartments everywhere, there are situations everywhere. You don't like where you're at, take a look out the fucking window, because there is an unlimited amount of options out there. And it's not that you're ever stuck, it's just that you haven't seen the option that you want to take next. But it's not that that option's not there. But when you're really ready to make that choice, there is not a deficit of potential options for you to pick from. So it's just a matter of you decide for yourself, you know what, I will choose copy and paste, or you know what, we're etch a sketching this shit. We're clearing the fucking screen and we're about to draw a brand new picture. I don't know what the picture's gonna be, but I'm tired of looking at the fucking picture that I'm looking at now. And that's what I can do with myself, because I'm an adult without kids, without a pet, without debt. I own my car, so I would rather sleep in my car than be in the situation of living with family in the situation that I was in. And there's no bad blood, still so much love, and I do appreciate all the time and all the help. But I chose not to copy and paste anymore because that was my decision, and I could do that with at minimal collateral damage. And so that's why I was able to finesse myself into a new position. And I still talk to my family, right? There's, you know, it's like, hey, what's up? You know, I like you better when I don't live with you. Who would have thunk it? You know, and I'm not the only one that feels that way. There's some people that you want to live with and some people that you get enough of. And you're like, I've reached my life quota. I think I'm all set. I'll see you at Thanksgiving, maybe, you know, we'll go for lunch, you know, because there's no expectation, right? Like just because we're family doesn't mean that I have to give a set amount of time to anyone. And so navigating relationships with anyone as an adult is a dance that I don't know the choreography to, but that's okay, because I can be sensitive enough to make considerations when it doesn't have to come at the price of like jumping through someone's hoop. So I don't mind making considerations for my family as long as they don't act like they are entitled to that consideration. I will make the consideration if I choose to make it. It's not required, in the same way that I don't require them to jump through any hoops to hang around with me. And that's across the board with family and not family, because I don't own your time. That's yours. And if you choose to spend it with me, that is the best gift you can give me. And when you choose to spend it with me because you wanted to, not to make me happy, not to make someone else happy, not to meet a standard, when you choose to spend time with me just because you wanted to do that, that is the best gift you can give me. And so Thank you so much, Jackie, for the birthday shout out, and thank you all so much for spending time with me, because this is the best way that you want to spend your time, and I'm just lucky enough that I get to be here with you. So thank you so much. I love you so much, everyone, and I can't think of a better way to spend my time. If it wasn't clear by my actions, let me make it clear with my words.
Thanks, Amanda. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate you very much. You've always been a part of Dualistic Unity, the community, the podcast, the intention, the entire thing. And now it's great to have you on board as an actual co-host and of course, co-host of the retreats as well. Anybody who's looking to meet Jackie and Amanda in person, definitely look up the California mini retreat where they will be co-hosting that event with us. It's always a lot of fun. I'm going to pass it over to Jackie.
Yeah, I'm loving this conversation about uncertainty and like expectation, because when you're living with an awareness of uncertainty, you can't guarantee that any situation, any relationship, any discipline, I mean, we mentioned breath work, meditation, like you can't assume that any of those containers, I guess, are going to give you a specific result. And so that just goes to say, like, you can't judge it. You can't accept something at face value as like, yeah, this is what I'm looking for, but you also can't write it off as like something that's not worth experiencing. So for me, like, I still meditate. I still do breath work exercises, like things like alternate nostril breathing, like, and it helps me just like bring myself down, but I'm aware that that's not the solution. It's like a tool, but I know it's not really fixing anything, because I know that the uncertainty, the discomfort, the feelings of being unbalanced are always going to come back. And it's not about like controlling that, but it's also like there are certain tools that we can use. So if you find a tool that works for you, there's nothing wrong with using that. That's a huge thing with yoga for me, is that, like, I don't know, for me it's a practice that really allowed me to go beyond just the poses. Like, it's not about the physical poses at all anymore for me. Like, it doesn't matter what it looks like. For me, it's about going through each of these different types of experiences and being with myself through it. And the breath, I feel like, is kind of just significant to all of us, because it is like something that anchors us in the present. It is the thing that is with us forever. Like, from the moment that we begin existing, you're breathing in every moment, whether you realize it or not. So it is sort of like a symbol of just how existence is always right now. It's always like your life is following your breath. Like, if you're following your breath, you're about as present as you can fucking be. So for me, breath work is useful in that way, but I'm never going to tell anybody, like, in a prescriptive sort of way, oh yeah, like, you're dealing with shit, just do breath work, you'll be fine. Like, it's never that. Nothing is ever a silver bullet. But there are experiences to be had, and we shouldn't disregard things at face value because we know we don't need them. Like, there's context to be gained when you allow yourself to walk down a path. And yeah, like, you don't have to necessarily agree with everything, or like, yeah, you don't have to like agree with anything or take any of the philosophy as truth in order to experience something, and again, take what you will from it, because that's all that any situation in life is ever about, is about your experience of it. You never really get to experience the thing itself. You're experiencing yourself experiencing the thing, so only you know what your relationship with that thing is. And it's not about attachment, because nothing is ever going to permanently quell that uncertainty, discomfort, just the rawness of being a human being. Like, it's a little brutal. It's just, that's just the way it is. Like, it's a lot of feeling. And there's a lot of different ways that we can experience that feeling, all of which are okay. So that's always good to remember. But I have to go a little bit early today because I have to go to work. So that's awesome. But this has been a great conversation. I love connecting with you guys as always. And tomorrow, Amanda and I are going to be recording an episode. So stay tuned for that. And if not, I'll see you at the free public group tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern. Wait, 3 p.m. Pacific? I don't remember.
Yeah, it is 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. You got it, Jackie. It's crazy when you even give the right answer. You're like, is that the right answer? Is that? I'd be like, that doubtful. Ask the jury. Guilty. It's incorrect. No, but you got it perfect, Jackie.
And yeah, breath work, or breathing, otherwise known, is important. And it really is. It's not about breathing in a specific way. It's just about paying attention to your breath. I mean, breathing is probably the most simplistic form of duality that we can experience. And the more you sink into the breathing in and breathing out, the less you there is in that experience. That's what really the breath work, quote unquote, is for, is to eventually just be the breath, as opposed to being the person breathing. And so it's just in and out until there's nothing other than the experience of breath in, breath out. So keep breathing, people. It's important. It's good for you. This has been a lot of fun. This has been a fantastic roundtable. We got a few minutes left here. I'm just going to pass it over to Andrew, but I do want to remind everybody, we have a video contest right now that you can win a free ticket to our California mini retreat. It's very easy to do. Just make a video with your thoughts, something about dualistic unity, tag dualistic unity in it. You can even use clips from the podcast. A number of people have done this now. There's been some fantastic videos, so thank you to everybody who's done that so far. And I'm looking forward to I'm looking forward to announcing and exciting the winner once we know who that's going to be.
I'm likewise exiting and excited and confided, and
we will be exiting the winner.
Don't read into that one too much. Yes, we have a secret vehicle. Yes, it has an eject button. And yes, Ray is the only one who gets to use it. But it ejects you into a fun pool situation at the retreat. I don't know where. One day, maybe. One day we'll have I think this is me saying I want to have a Batmobile one day. Something. But yeah.
Or the mystery machine. You can put an ejection machine, seat in the mystery machine, right? Just
oh yeah. We could put multiple. A secret one that moves around. But the breath stuff's fun. And sometimes like you get really caught in it and like, am I the one breathing or am I being breathed? And if I don't have control over it, if I try and stop, then am I really the one in control right now? And then you start wondering about epiphenomenalism, and then you're like, fuck, am I even choosing to say anything ever? Am I choosing to do anything ever? Or is it just me fucking taking ownership as I go? And then it's like when you're talking and you're realizing that you're not actually deciding when to talk or what to say, then it's like, oh man, I feel like I'm out of control right now. I've lost control, lost the wheel as it's spinning around.
It's like reality is keeping you going, like a balloon animal just keeps pumping you full of air just to keep you going throughout your life. that keeps you participating as life itself. So yeah, we are all connected together. I love that insight, by the way. It's like, am I breathing or is reality forcing me to breathe? Like, because the only way I can get away from the air is if I go into the water, and then I'll stop breathing, right? But aside from that fucking air is going to find its way in, right? Like my body's going to want to like inhale that desperately. So yeah, no, it's kind of an interesting thought. We really are just connected to reality. But on the same token, imagine how fish feel, right? Water goes literally straight through the fish in the same way that air goes straight through us. and we just don't realize it. It's the medium with which we live. That's why it's so radically different between, you know, life as a fish and life on land, right? Totally different mediums to exist within. It's crazy. Well, that was fun. This has been a fantastic conversation. We're going to wrap up here. Do join us on Patreon in 15 minutes. It's a tier 2 call. It's basically the after party to the roundtable, where we will continue to talk about fun shit and likely get back into the conversation of shit as a whole. Definitely this roundtable is going to be entitled Going Through the Shit. Thank you everyone for joining us. We appreciate you being here, and we appreciate you listening, and we appreciate all of your support in all the work that you do on yourself. Just keep slugging it out, people. It'll all make sense in the end.
Enjoy that next shit. You'll have us in mind.